Sorry, Chair, to disturb the process. I think it's important that I put this message, which I received now, into the record.
Yeah.
As I'm eating there, I received this message from Paul Sullivan.
Yeah.
Get ready, you lying crook. I am going to make sure you spend some years in prison. You were bribed by Mkhwanazi and Mabula. Now you will pay for your crimes guaranteed.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take these huge, complex piles of source material transcripts, affidavits, judicial findings, and we pull out the most vital insights.
We give you the shortcut to being well-informed.
Exactly. And today we are deep diving into some of the most explosive public testimonies coming out of South Africa.
Yeah.
We're focused entirely on, well, alleged corruption, political interference, and even outright lying under oath.
And it's all happening inside the country's security and justice cluster.
The highest levels.
I mean, the stakes here are truly immense. We're synthesizing transcripts from two major parallel investigations.
Right.
You've got the Madlang Commission, which is a judicial inquiry.
Right.
And then the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, which is the legislative oversight. And we have these key witnesses, like political insider Cedric Nkabinde and an alleged fixer, Brown Mogotsi.
And they're testifying about institutional capture.
Not just of one department. We're talking across the police, SAPS, the police watchdog, IPID, and even the prosecuting authority, the NPA.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is to connect the dots between these political operators and the alleged external fixers, using their own testimony against them.
Right. We want to understand the mechanics of how this infiltration supposedly works.
But also, and this is critical, what these testimonies reveal about the reliability of the evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, the credibility of the people presenting it.
Precisely. So let's start where the political heat is just white hot right now. The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee and Cedric Nkabinde.
Nkabinde is a big deal. He's the chief of staff in the police ministry. He was recalled to testify before this committee, which is looking into these really serious claims of criminal infiltration, political interference.
Allegations that were first flagged by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, no less.
And the committee's scrutiny of Nkabinde has been, well, intense.
Oh, absolutely, because he'd already been caught out on his timeline. He was, and I'm quoting the transcripts here, sent home packing.
Sent home packing. Why?
Yeah, because of these conflicting statements he made about when he first met or knew Brown Mogotsi, the alleged fixer who's testifying at the exact same time over at the Madlang Commission.
So the committee sees this link as critical.
It's everything. I mean, wait, the chief of staff, a senior political appointee, is trying to downplay his relationship with a guy being cross-examined as a political fixer.
That alone is a huge flashing red light.
It is. The committee was trying to establish if Nkabinde was the conduit for external influence.
Specifically on one key decision.
Yes, one of the ministry's most controversial decisions. The decision to disband the Political Killings Task Team, the PKTT.
Which happened really abruptly, right, on New Year's Eve.
Exactly. December 31st. The question is, was Nkabinde talking to Mogotsi, and did that conversation influence the minister's decision?
Okay, that brings us squarely to the man himself, the alleged fixer, Brown Mogotsi, who's testifying over at the Madlang Commission.
Right. Mogotsi is described in the sources as a, let's say, controversial Northwest businessman. And he starts his testimony with this massive challenge to authority.
Centered on the John Wick vigilante case.
Yes, the John Wick allegation. Mogotsi claimed under oath that he has concrete evidence.
What kind of evidence?
A crime intelligence report. We're talking a photograph, an ID number, criminal history, pending cases, everything.
Wow.
And he claims it definitively identifies this alleged crime kingpin, Vusimuzi Katmatlala, as the John Wick figure.
That's a huge claim about a major criminal figure, but the real bomb here is political, isn't it?
Absolutely. Mogotsi insists this intelligence report was brought directly to the police minister at the time, Becky Sale, back in 2018.
2018. Why does that date matter so much?
Because it directly contradicts Minister Sale's public claims that he only met Matlala much, much later, in December 2024.
So if Mogotsi's telling the truth,
it means a former minister was not being truthful about the timeline of his interactions with a documented crime kingpin.
Okay, so a huge challenge to the veracity of a former minister. But let's turn the spotlight on Mogotsi himself, because this is where his own testimony starts to, Well, it starts to unravel.
This is the central pivot of his whole time at the commission, his intensive cross-examination about his own professional credibility.
And it all focuses on a contract interdict.
A contract interdict his foundation, the Brown Mogotsi Foundation, launched in 2023.
Okay, so walk us through the legal maneuvering here. What happened?
So Mogotsi confirmed our $150,000 was paid to his attorneys on August 10th.
August 10th, we have a solid date.
A solid date for when the legal action started. Now, to make a court application for an interdict work, you have to convince a judge it's urgent.
Otherwise, they just throw the case out.
They throw it out, so you have to prove you acted fast.
And what did Mogotsi state in his sworn court affidavit?
This is the crucial lie. Mogotsi claimed that all the key events, getting a tip-off from a whistleblower, checking the info, approaching lawyers, all happened in September.
Not August.
No, not August.
Okay.
He shifted the whole timeline by a month.
Why? Why do that?
To avoid the counterclaim from the other side, which was that he was guilty of self-created urgency.
Self-created urgency, meaning if you knew about this in August but you only filed in September,
Yeah.
you can't suddenly claim it's urgent.
Exactly. You sat on it, you lost your right to urgency. So he fabricated a timeline to illegally claim that right in court.
And the judge?
The judge saw right through it. The ruling found it highly improbable that events starting in August would only result in an application filed so much later.
So he was caught.
He was directly accused of lying under oath about the dates.
That is damning. I mean, lying in a sworn court document is a serious crime. But there was another admission, wasn't there? Arguably even more shocking.
Yes. Mogotsi later admitted, again under oath, to lying in a different affidavit. This one he gave to a Colonel Schnella for a covert operation.
A 252A application, that's for what, state surveillance?
Essentially, yes. It's a legal application for the state to conduct intelligence gathering. And in that sworn document,
What was the lie?
he falsely claimed he was an adult male employed in government within the office of the Minister of Police.
Which he was not.
He was not.
Why on earth would he admit to that? It seems incredibly reckless.
Well, his argument was that it was, necessary for the operation. He claimed that because he wasn't actually a state employee, he lacked the legal authority to do the job.
So he had to pretend to be one.
He had to assume this false professional identity and sign a false affidavit, in his words, for the purposes of the work.
So, wait. To get an authorized, covert state intelligence job done, he had to become a professional liar and commit a crime by signing a sworn false statement.
That's his testimony. And it just speaks volumes about the integrity of these operations when they're handled by alleged fixers.
It raises the terrifying possibility that high-stakes state business is regularly conducted
Yeah.
using documents that the people signing them know are completely false.
Yes.
Okay, so this level of misconduct, we have to connect it to the broader network.
Yeah.
Who is Mogotsi doing this fixing for?
We can trace this right through that contract interdict we just talked about.
Right.
His foundation helped block a contract. It turns out one of the losing bidders was a company called Alu Construction,
And Alu was part of a consortium.
with Vusamuzi Cap Mamala and Morgan Mamala. And that same consortium won an extremely lucrative contract at Tembisa Hospital.
Tembisa Hospital. That immediately flags the connection to Babita Diolkaram, the whistleblower who was murdered while she was allegedly investigating corruption there.
Precisely. You see Mogotsi operating in the orbit of the very people implicated in the most serious allegations of tender fraud and potential murder cover-ups.
And the sources confirm a central figure tying this all together. Hangwani Mamala.
Mamala is the key connective tissue here. There are text messages confirming his connection not only to that big Medicare 24 tender, but also to the Northwest tender Mogotsi's foundation helped block.
He's the big fish.
He is the alleged nexus connecting high-value contracts, political fixes, and people like Malala.
So, if the Mogotsi story is about weaponizing tenders and legal documents, let's go back to Cedric Nkabinde. His testimony paints an equally dark, but very different, picture of capture.
Yes, his is about the weaponization of the security cluster itself for political aims.
And he delivered an absolutely astonishing claim to the committee.
He alleged that Paul O'Sullivan, a well-known external forensic investigator, is essentially running the entire security cluster. He called it real state capture.
O'Sullivan is an external actor. How could he possibly control institutions like the police, the watchdog, and the MPA from the outside?
That's the claim. Nkabinde asserted that O'Sullivan's power is so great that he can stop senior appointments, including Nkabinde's own promotion, with a single email.
A single email.
It suggests that institutional independence has just been completely eroded.
And this is where Nkabinde goes from being a witness to, well, an admitted participant in a plot. He confessed to being part of something called the Plotting Task Team.
The PAT, yes. The Bashani Task Team. Nkabinde admitted to joining this covert team that was established by IPID, the police watchdog.
And who was on it with him?
Former IPID head Robert McBride and Paul O'Sullivan himself.
So an insider state-sanctioned team was created to orchestrate the removal of an official.
That's what Nkabinde says. And their target was the acting national commissioner, General Patani.
Why him?
The motive was pretty straightforward. O'Sullivan allegedly wanted Robert McBride installed as the new national commissioner, and Patani was seen as an obstacle. Because he, quote, did not comply with Paul O'Sullivan. The entire mandate of this task team was to force Patani out.
Wait, so Nkabinde is admitting to being part of a plot that used State Resources IPD to fabricate a media scandal just to force a presidential removal.
It's an incredible admission. He detailed the whole mechanism, alleging that the public reasons for Patani's suspension, the blue lights, the sound system, were all fabricated pretexts.
Just a cover story.
A cover story. The plot involved manufacturing a scenario, like a raid for the sound system, and then deliberately collaborating with the media, with specific journalists, to make sure the story exploded.
Forcing the president's hand.
Exactly.
That suggests a deliberate, organized scheme to leverage the media for political maneuvering inside the security cluster.
Yeah.
Where did they hold these plotting meetings?
The details Nkabinde provided are just jaw-dropping. He described a meeting held at Paul O'Sullivan's house.
Okay.
And incidentally, it was the former house of a known fugitive and gangster, Ketcher's house. It's an incredibly evocative detail.
Who was sitting around that table planning this institutional coup?
Well, the attendees, if he's to be believed, confirmed the breadth of the alleged conspiracy. You had O'Sullivan, McBride, and Nkabinde, members of IPA.
The insiders.
The insiders, and then a specific white lady journalist, and critically, representatives from external groups, Afro Forum and the Democratic Alliance, the DA.
So you have political players, media, civil society, and state security insiders, all allegedly in a room together, planning the removal of the acting national commissioner.
And planning who would pay for it.
Who was financing this?
Nkabinde stated that the Afroforum representatives at that meeting guaranteed the funds for the mission, the goal being to bring down Patani and assert power over the entire security and justice cluster.
The narrative he's painting is just. It's one where external political and financial actors are colluding with senior figures inside the justice cluster to manipulate everything. Investigations, appointments, media narratives.
And this influence wasn't just about the police top brass. Nkabinde claimed O'Sullivan's reach extends deep into the MPA, the prosecuting authority.
He said that's why his own criminal case is stuck, right?
For impersonating an IPD officer, yes. And he even alleged that O'Sullivan receives overseas funding specifically earmarked to interfere with and control the justice cluster.
So if we take these two massive bodies of testimony and, synthesize them, the picture that emerges is deeply, deeply troubling.
It is. We see two distinct but parallel forms of state capture, detailed under oath. On one hand, you have Mogotsi, illustrating capture from the perspective of tenderpreneurship.
Requiring professional lying on sworn affidavits to grease the wheels of illicit business.
And to get leverage in the courts. And then on the other hand,
you have Nkabinde describing this systematic political capture where powerful outside actors allegedly dictated who got top jobs and used insiders to orchestrate media scandals.
To ensure their targets were removed and their people were put in place.
The convergence of those two narratives is perhaps the most chilling takeaway here.
I think so. The evidence, as presented, reveals a system where outside actors allegedly dictated senior appointments, media narratives were fabricated to achieve operational goals, and high-stakes affidavits contained admitted lies.
All used intentionally to seize and consolidate power within the criminal justice apparatus itself. It paints a picture of state functions and legal instruments being completely weaponized for private or political gain.